Welcome to the Courageous Self-Care Experience with self-care expert, embodiment coach, four-time author, and your spiritual ninja guide, Christina Marlette. This is your go-to show for high-achieving, spiritually curious women who are done with burnout, over the hustle, and ready to feel fully alive and energized. You'll get a powerful mix of soulful wisdom, rebellious truth bombs, and energy practices that actually work. So now, please welcome the host of the Courageous Self-Care Experience, Christina Marlette.
Hello, I'm your host, Christina Marlette, and this is the Courageous Self-Care Experience streaming on Bold Brave TV. We're streaming on multiple platforms, and if you missed the live, you can catch the replay on your favorite streaming service. All right, so let's dive in. First, everything I want to share today is wrapped up in stories. So I thought I'd give a life update, and the life update is there's a teaching woven into it. So the first thing is I think it's so valuable to have something that you're looking forward to. This is a self-care practice that I have, and every day I ask myself, okay, what is it that I'm looking forward to? And it could be big things, it could be little things, as long as I have one or two or three things that I'm looking forward to. Life is exciting and interesting and an adventure. So when I was thinking about this in preparation for this show, the three things that I'm looking forward to are number one, on Fridays, I love going to my favorite little superfood cafe, the Light Cellar here in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. And I love writing my weekly blog article that's on Substack. And I just love going there because the vibe is so good. And I always get a chaga tea with honey. And usually I get a tahini cookie that is just delicious. And so I've created a ritual around that. And it's something that I look forward to every week. So that's number one. Number two is that for Mother's Day, my family got me a spa experience, which is going to the spa is one of my top favorite things. I just feel so cared for and nurtured and luxuriant, if that's a word. If not, we just made it up. And I'm getting a facial. So that's been on my list of things that I've wanted to do for a long time. And yay, the opportunity presented itself. So that's number two that I'm looking forward to. So it's in the near future. And then the third thing that I'm looking forward to is I am going to a healing retreat at my mentor's house in Indiana. I've never been to Indiana before, and this is about a month out. So I'm really excited. I feel like significant transformation is going to happen there at this healing retreat. So that's a big thing that I'm looking forward to. So for you, I recommend definitely check in on a regular basis. And I even made little cards to, when you're incorporating a new behavior into your life, it's so good to make it visual so that you remember. So I made these little cards that say, I'm looking forward to ... And when I was first creating this habit, I put it near my bed so that when I got up in the morning, I could ask myself this question. And that helps me feel invigorated for the day, just to have this energy of looking forward to. And then sometimes my answer is, I'm not looking forward to anything. Okay, so I need to make some plans and get some things on the calendar. So that's my life update wrapped up in teaching. All right, the other thing that I wanted to share with you in this first portion here is my timely teaching. We do that every week on the show. And this has to do with going to this retreat in June. So for a period of time, for about 10 years straight, I did a lot of traveling and taking courses. There were courses on spirituality, there were courses on creating a business, and I was traveling a lot. And at that time, my husband and I, we did not have that much money. Only he was working, I was building on my dream, and So whenever I went away, I felt so guilty. I didn't have the skills necessarily to acknowledge that or notice it. And it made life interesting because whenever I went away for these experiences, there would be this pervasive sense of something that I could not identify. And how it showed up was being super thrifty. So if there was a hotel stay involved, I would stay with strangers and we'd pack a bunch of people into the room. And I would also, for the food, I would go to a grocery store, a Whole Foods, because most of the courses were in the States and we don't have a Whole Foods here in Calgary. And so it was like my mecca when I first discovered it. Oh, I was so excited about Whole Foods. So I'd go there, get like tuna, a few cans of tuna and salad ingredients. And then I would put them in the fridge in the hotel. And then over the week, I would make these big salads and I would eat them out of the ice bucket in my room. So that was my way of making it okay that I was leaving my family to go learn and build. So I've noticed that part of this has still transferred over, even though we're not in the same financial situation anymore. This thriftiness and guilt can show up. And so when I was planning for this upcoming retreat, I was, of course, looking for the best deal for flights and remembered that I had some points. So that was exciting. Yay. And then I was a few days ago, I was looking for a hotel. And at first, I noticed myself looking for bottom of the barrel hotels, like what is the closest to the venue so that I can walk, and what is the cheapest so that I'm not spending too much money. And then I caught myself and realized, right, this isn't the way that I need to show up anymore. It's not a scarcity mindset. It's not about lack. It's about what would I love? So this is the teaching right now. The most valuable question, the most useful question that you can ask yourself when it comes to making decisions is, what would I love? It's very different from what can I afford? And I never use that phrase, I can't afford it. That is connected with scarcity. It's connected with lack. It's connected with poverty consciousness. There are much more empowering ways that we can work with that. And I've said it before, and I'll say it again because it's so useful to remember. Your words are important, or your words are powerful, and you can have what you say. Your words are powerful, and you can have what you say. Or more like, you will have what you say. So if you go around saying, I can't afford that, I can't afford that, I can't afford that, you will have that. That will be your experience. And so, yeah, of course, there are times when we do need to look at the money that's available and make decisions based on that. And a more empowering way of approaching that is, I'm choosing to save money rather than get this right now. Or I'm choosing to be aligned with my highest values, and this doesn't fit in with that right now. So anyways, back to my story. I was looking at hotels, and I came to a couple of a happy medium, and it wasn't bottom of the barrel. And yeah, I found a few options, and then I was thinking about it, and I remembered, oh yes, what would I love? Because the difference between the two options was about $100. So not a huge deal, right? And I asked myself, I stepped away from my search and I asked myself, what would I love? What would I love in terms of an experience? And then that question opened up the truth, which was, I would love to stay at the recommended hotel because, number one, I can walk and I love walking rather than driving. So I thought that would be a great way to start and end my day. And then number two, probably other people are going to be staying there, and I do want to connect with community. So I would love that. And then the hotel is just beautiful. I love to be surrounded in beauty. I love to feel wealthy. I love to be taken care of. These are values that I have. And so when I asked myself that question, it felt so much more expansive. And there are two energies that we are always working with in life. There is that of expansion, and then there is that of anchoring, which I talked about before. Anchoring initially doesn't feel as good, but the expansion, that can be our guide. And anchoring, there's nothing wrong with it. I talked about that in the last episode, number 7, I think, or maybe 6. I'm not sure. But when we focus on what feels expansive, that is actually your heart and your soul giving you guidance. We want to follow what feels good. If it feels contracted and tight in your body, in your energy, that is a great way to know, oh, that's a no. So I notice for myself, I get that no often in my chest area, in the heart area. If I ask myself, what would I love? And then I go through the answers, the yeses, your body's always giving you guidance. So this is a practice called body sourcing. You can ask your body anything. It will never lie to you because spirit speaks to the body and the body speaks to the mind. And then ideally, we want to bring the mind back onto the body to notice what is coming through because it will be the truth. So when you ask yourself, what would I love? The other part of that is to tune into what you're noticing, not in your mind, but in your physiology, in your energy. So that yes is expansive. And that's what I got when I tuned into the two options. I got a big, clear, yes, this feels good. Because the heart and the soul always want to expand. That is how we grow in this lifetime. We are all about expansion from the heart and the soul level. The mind can be contracted, and it can be more fear-based. So that's the other thing. If you ask yourself, what would I love? You will get the truth. If you ask yourself, what can I afford? That's coming from fear. And we don't want to make very many, really any decisions based on fear. We want to make them based on love because fear is contracting and love is expansive. So that is the timely teaching. And so ask yourself, what would I love when making decisions? It will change everything. I learned this actually from a book called The Soul of Money by Lynn Twist. I highly recommend it. Fantastic book. And that was one of the main premises in there. Make as many decisions from joy and love that you can. And rather than making them from a scarcity mindset, when you are in that scarcity mindset, you will perpetuate that scarcity mindset and you will continue to experience less abundance. So what would I love? That is more expansive. And I have a quick little story before our first break here to share with you. So one time I was in inquiry. I wanted to go to the spa. I wanted to get a facial. This was a few years ago. And I thought, do I really have the funds for that? And I asked myself, what would I love? Well, that's clear. I would love to get a facial. And so I booked it and followed that expansion. And then when I came out of the facial, I noticed, I was checking my email and I noticed that a sale went through on my website and it was for more than enough to cover the facial. And I thought, thank you for that very clear indication that when you follow your heart, when you put yourself out there and trust, then you will be supported. That is how abundance works. We have to go on trust. And what we trust is the expansion. If we go towards the expansion, we will experience more expansion. If we make decisions based on fear and we stay, that's one of the ways we stay small, is if we let the mind rule. So the mind is terrified of the ego part of the mind is terrified of the unknown. And so we want to be able to be okay with the unknown, to feel okay with it, knowing that no matter what, we are always taken care of and supported by the divine. We're here for expansion. And so then when we make our decisions based on that, that is the absolute best way to live life. So that is the timely teaching. Ask yourself, what would I love? Make as many decisions based on that as you can. And life will flow in your favor and you will feel more and more expansive, and more will be able to come to you. All right, so we're going to go into our first break with a message from our sponsors. I'm your host, Christina Marlette. This is the Courageous Self-Care Experience, and we will be right back.
Mike Zorek, a three-time California state champion in Greco-Roman wrestling at 114 pounds. Mike, blind since birth, was born in Hartford, Connecticut. He was a six-time national placer, including 2 seconds, 2/3, and 2/4. He also won the Veterans Folk-Style Wrestling twice at 152 pounds. In all these tournaments, he was the only blind competitor. Nancy Zorek, a creative spirit whose talents have taken her to the stage and into galleries and exhibitions in several states. Her father, a commercial artist who shared his instruments with his daughter and helped her fine-tune her natural abilities, influenced her decision to follow in his footsteps. Ms. Zorek has enjoyed a fruitful career doing what she loves. Listen Saturday mornings at 12 Eastern for the Nancy and Mike Show for heartwarming stories and interesting talk on the BBM Global Network.
Are you struggling to care for elderly parents or a spouse? Do you wonder if being a caregiver is making you sick? Are you worried about taking time off work to care for elderly parents and balance work, life, and caregiving? Has caregiving become exhausting and emotionally draining? Are you an aging adult who wants to remain independent, but you're not sure how? I'm Pamela D. Wilson. Join me for the Caring Generation radio show for caregivers and aging adults, Wednesday evenings, 6 Pacific, 7 Mountain, 8 Central, and 9 Eastern, where I answer these questions and share tips for managing stress, family relationships, health, well-being, and more. Podcasts and transcripts of The Caring Generation are on my website, PamelaDWilson.com, plus my caregiving library, online caregiver support programs, and programs for corporations interested in supporting working caregivers. Help, hope, and support for caregivers is here on The Caring Generation and PamelaDWilson.com.
Hello, welcome back. I'm your host, Christina Marlette. This is the Courageous Self-Care Experience, and we're streaming live on Bold Brave TV, and the replay is available on many streaming platforms. All right. Oh, and I want to say hi to our live listeners. Yay, I'm so excited that you're here. Sometimes when I do the show, my family will say, how did it go? And I'll say, well, it was fun talking to myself. So it's great to be here with you. I appreciate you. And I appreciate you also if you're listening to the replay. Yay. All right. So what we're moving into next is our embodied energy flow portion. After that, we're going to be doing a Q&A. If you have a question, you can call in and I'm happy to coach. And as a backup, I have a question from someone in our Courageous Self-Care community this week. Okay, so embodied energy flow. The reason that it is useful to have embodied energy flow is that it's all about embodiment. The body is the solution to everything. And that's not a teaching that's readily available out in the world, but truly when we unify mind, body, and breath, we are activating our inner healer and life completely changes for the better. I'm speaking from experience. I'm someone who's done a lot. Like I said, I did 10 years of active spiritual seeking and going to courses and so on. And over that time, I learned a lot of practices. I learned a lot of tools, and I only share with you what works. And so anything I offer is a curated experience, and I can't say enough about embodiment. So embodied energy flow. What we're going to do here today is called solar plexus breathing, and it's a practice I learned from this book, The Energy Codes by my mentor, Dr. Sue Morter. And what solar plexus breathing does, well, pretty much it changes your life. It has for me. And I was in conversation with Dr. Sue recently, and she was echoing the same thing, that it is a life-changing breathing technique. And the breath is so accessible. Like, you can work with the breath anytime, any place, and you're going to be breathing anyways. So I just figure, let's breathe in a way that is going to make our lives better. So solar plexus breathing. First of all, why would we want to do it? Well, the solar plexus, which is just below the ribs, where the ribs splay open, is the diaphragm. It's an energy center it's the seat of the mind. And so if you have a contracted and tight solar plexus area or diaphragm, that is an indication that your mind, it has a tendency to be rigid and contracted and is running the show, for sure. We don't want the mind to run the show. We want the heart and the soul to run the show. The mind needs to show up as a humble servant. So solar plexus breathing definitely helps soften the mind so that it is like, if you have tendencies like I used to, like overthinking and believing everything that your mind says and having a really harsh inner critic, all of this can be resolved by solar plexus breathing. And then the other thing about the solar plexus is that it's the seat of your personal power. We are meant to access the power of 1,000 suns, which is a lot of power. And this is not power over others. This is the power of love and the divine flowing through you. So when you practice solar plexus breathing, you will notice enhanced courage, confidence, self-esteem. All of these are wrapped up in this relatively simple breathing practice that just takes a little bit of, experimentation. And I noticed when I started solar plexus breathing, I'm not talking hours and hours. I regularly do 3 of these breaths a day, and that's it. And I've noticed so much more confidence and courage and personal power and empowerment. So what I noticed about when I started solar plexus breathing is prior to that, like I said before, I'd taken all these courses and I was building my business, and what I uncovered is that I had a tremendous fear of rejection. And so I would create all these courses and I would book experiences. Like I booked a retreat one time and then I didn't tell anyone. So I lost the deposit, which was really big because I was so afraid of rejection. And this went on for years. And then solar plexus breathing came into my life. And literally the next week, I was like, oh, I can share this in my weekly post. Oh, I can tell people about this. And as I shared on the last episode, I just got back from a retreat in Panama that was sold out. And this is a direct result of solar plexus breathing. It helps you speak up for yourself, not be treated like a doormat. It helps you speak your truth with compassion so that people are on board. And it is just a super valuable practice to have in your back pocket. And you can do it anytime while you're sitting in traffic or while you're waiting for something. It is super powerful. So here's how you do it. If you're watching, then you'll be able to see. And if you're listening, I will do my best to explain it so that you still get the idea. So what you do is put your hands in fists and you squeeze your rib cage with your elbows. So press the upper arms into the rib cage. And then you're going to suck in your belly button. It's like it's coming up and under your ribs. Now it's not actually going to go that high, but that's what you're doing. So the belly is contracted in an inward fashion, so your breath is not going into your belly. And then you also contract your shoulders and press those down. So the only place the breath can go now with all this squeezing is the diaphragm. Through the nose. Now inhale. And feel the bottom of the rib cage stretching open. And then through the nose, also exhale. Keep everything pressed and tucked in. A big, strong exhale through the nose. And inhale again, in through the nose. Let the breath go down to the bottom of the lungs. And stretch open the solar plexus, the diaphragm. Keep the shoulders down. Keep the elbows pressed into the ribs. Keep the belly button tucked under. And then exhale. Press the breath out through the nose. Okay, relax all of that for a moment. So you don't always have to do the physical part of it. As you become more adept at breathing into your solar plexus and it becomes more flexible, you don't need to do that, but it's very helpful when you're initially learning so that the breath only has one place to go. Now, the other thing that's helpful with this is the baseball grapefruit idea that Dr. Sue teaches. And what you want to imagine is that at the solar plexus, there is a ball of energy that's the size of a baseball. So let's get into that position again. Hands and fists, squeeze your arms, upper arms into your ribs, tuck the belly button up so that your belly is concave as much as possible, and then press your shoulders down. Now imagine that there's a baseball underneath the rib cage, and inhale through the nose, let it stretch to the size of a grapefruit. And it's happening in the front and the sides and the back. And then exhale back to a baseball. Let's do that 2 more times. Inhale to the size of a grapefruit. Feeling it stretch open, belly button still tucked under, everything contracted down. Exhale to a baseball. And then once more. Inhale to a grapefruit, exhale to a baseball. Okay, so you might notice a little bit of lightheadedness. That is okay. That's your system's just getting more oxygen than it's used to, especially when we access the lower lobes of the lungs. So much rich oxygen is there. Most people tend to just breathe in the upper chest where it's not as rich in oxygen, and we tend to stay in fight or flight. So when we breathe into the solar plexus, we're getting into those lower lobes of the lungs, and it gives us so much more oxygen. And like I said, I recommend doing 3 of these breaths a day. And again, make it visual if this is a practice that you want to incorporate, if you want to feel more courageous and confident and speak up for yourself and soften your mind and not overthink. All great reasons to take 1 minute and do 3 solar plexus breaths a day. Right? So make it visual. Put a little reminder note, put it on your phone, put it on a Post-it note, somewhere where you go every day. It might be beside your bed, so you do it before you get up in the morning, or it might be in your bathroom where you see it on the mirror. It might be in your closet. It might be in a cupboard while you're making your morning hot water, ideally. And this is such a valuable practice. So this is called solar plexus breathing. I recommend doing 3 of them every day. And then it's not like you even have to work to be more courageous. It just happens. And you don't have to work to be more confident. It just happens. It is amazing. And that is because it's embodiment. It's an embodiment practice where we're unifying mind, body, and breath simultaneously. And just a quick story before we go into our next break. I was at a home and garden show a couple of years ago, and there was a booth where you could get a free 10-minute massage. So yes, please. I said, absolutely. And I went and laid down on the table, and the massage therapist said, okay, take a deep breath into your solar plexus. And he had his hands on my back, and I did. And he went, whoa, wow, you have so much flexibility in your rib cage. I never see that. And I was like, woohoo, solar plexus breathing. That is why, because it has created so much more flexibility, which ends up being flexibility of the mind and being able to go with the flow and not try to control other people and situations. So a myriad of reasons to incorporate solar plexus breathing into your daily practice. This is self-care that works. And it makes a huge difference with little time and energy invested. So that is what I wanted to share with you for the embodied energy flow practice. We are going to head into our next break. My name is Christina Marlette. You're watching or listening to the Courageous Self-Care Experience on Bold Brave TV. We'll be right back after this word from our sponsors.
Dr. RC will share extraordinary resources and services that promote educational success, as well as making a difference in the lives of all social workers, as well as the lives of children, adolescents, and teens of today. She will have open discussions addressing many of the issues that we face about our youth and how being employed in the uniquely skilled profession of social work for over 18 years has taught invaluable lessons through her personal experiences. She will also provide real-life facts, examples, and personal stories that will confirm that why serving as a child advocate is extremely beneficial when addressing the needs of the whole child. Listen live to Dare to Soar, Saturdays 10 a.m. Eastern on the BBM Global Network, and tune in radio as Dr. RC will provide thought-provoking information that will empower, encourage, and strengthen students, families, and communities across our nation. You can also visit her at soarwithkatie.com. Author, radio show host, and coach John M. Hawkins reveals strategies to help gain perspective, build confidence, find clarity, achieve goals. John M. Hawkins' new book, Coached to Greatness, Unlock Your Full Potential with Limitless Growth, published by iUniverse. Hawkins reveals strategies to help readers accomplish more. He believes the book can coach them to greatness. Hawkins says that the best athletes get to the top of their sport with the help of coaches, mentors, and others. He shares guidance that helps readers reflect on what motivates them. We discover and assess their core values, philosophies, and competencies, find settings that allow them to be the most productive, and track their progress towards accomplishing goals. Listen to John Hawkins' My Strategy, Saturdays, 1 p.m. Eastern on the BBM Global Network and TuneIn Radio.
Hi, we're back. I'm Christina Marlette, your host of the Courageous Self-Care Experience, streaming live on Bold Brave TV. Okay, so this next section is our Q&A section, and I usually take email and questions that come in from my clients. And this week, the question was timely. So in Canada, and I know the States, we just had Mother's Day, and a question came in from a client who said, what should we do? What can I do when my partner does not remember important dates or doesn't care about them? What can I do? And I have some answers for you because I feel like this isn't just a one-person thing. And my husband is deeply caring and deeply loving, and I still had to teach him how I wanted to be treated. So with our actions, with our words, with our inactions, we are always teaching people how to treat us. And it is valuable to be mindful about that and to be intentional. So these are the answers I shared with my client, and I thought they would also be helpful for you too. So the first thing, it's both an inner and an outer world approach. We can do things on the inside, and then we can do things with the other people in our lives in our exterior world. So first, let's go to the inner strategy. The inner world is always a great place to start. Nothing is ever only someone else's issue or their fault or blame, and I don't even use those words anyways, but when something's showing up in our outer world, it's a reflection of what's going on inside our inner world. So always a great place to start. Now, we can be mistaken that we need people in our outer world to give us experiences and feelings. It is not up to other people to make us feel good. And it can be deceptive because someone can do something nice and you feel good. And so you might think, yes, it is up to other people, but really it's an inner game first, always. The more we cultivate a vibration and a frequency on the inside that feels like how we want to be feeling, the more that shows up in our outer world as a result. If there are lots of experiences that don't feel good in the inner world, like I was talking about before, a harsh inner critic or an overthinking mind or a tendency to try to control, then that's a result of the frequencies, the energies, the emotions and feelings that are happening on a regular basis on the inside. We can shift that. Yay, we're so powerful. The power of 1,000 suns. We can change our experience. So here's what you do when you are under the mistaken impression that you need to get feelings and experiences from the outer world. Ask yourself, you want to get clear, how was I thinking that I would feel? Or what was I expecting from my partner or this other person in my life to make me feel? So here I'm going to teach through a story again. A few years ago, I was involved in a big event, and when it came time, I was part of the team. When it came time to thank the team, I was waiting and waiting and waiting, and I got missed for whatever reason. It was just a mistake. And I felt devastated. And so I asked myself, I knew it wasn't an outer world problem. It was an inner world awareness that I could resolve for myself. So I asked myself, what was I expecting to get from that outer world experience? Oh, I was expecting acknowledgement. That is what I was anticipating. So do I need other people to give me acknowledgement? No, I can give it to myself. And so I said to myself in my inner voice, and you can say it out loud if you like, if you're alone, maybe. But I said to myself, Christina, I love that you're the kind of person that shows up in such a generous way. I love that you give 100% no matter what you do. I really acknowledge that you made such a huge contribution to this weekend. And the more I said that to myself, the better and better I felt. Now, when I first started doing this practice, did it feel fake? Yes, it certainly did, because a part of me was not on board that I could create the experience I wanted for myself. But I persisted and I kept doing it, even though it felt awkward and weird and foreign. So fast forward to this experience, I realized that I could feel so good by acknowledging myself. And then the same event rolled around the next year, and I preemptively filled myself up first, acknowledged myself, and detached from any outcome in the outer world. And guess what? I got so much acknowledgement, and even better, it was nice, but I didn't need it. It was icing on the cake because I'd already given to myself what before I was expecting other people to give me. So same thing if you have a birthday or a Mother's Day or a Christmas or another holiday that goes unnoticed and you're not feeling loved and cared for, then it's something to give to yourself first. And my client was saying, I bought myself flowers for Mother's Day, but every time I look at them, I feel resentful because my partner, I tried to get him to buy flowers and it didn't happen. And so now I just feel resentful. So it's, yeah, you can take actions in the outer world and write yourself a love note or buy yourself flowers or get yourself a gift, and make sure that you're not skipping over the inner work that you can give yourself without any material representation of it. So that would be the inner world. We want to pay attention to the inner world and give ourselves what we want to be receiving from others. Like if you feel like you need love from someone else, give it to yourself first. And there's a specific way to do that, which I'm going to share as part of the outer world. Well, it's the bridge between the outer and the inner world. So the other thing is so let's take those flowers as an example, the flowers that were making my client feel resentful. I said, okay, so that is whenever you notice that you're feeling a way that doesn't feel good to you, like resentful, for example, it's not that the flowers are the problem, or it's not that your partner is the issue. Every situation that happens that results in a feeling that you'd rather not be feeling is a gift, because it's revealing to you that there is stuck energy, in this case, in the form of resentment, and it's coming up to the surface. It's getting revealed to be healed. So that's what we want to love. And this is a great practice. I've shared about it before. I'll keep on sharing about it because it's not necessarily something that we would just know. And it makes the hugest difference. So it's loving the part of you that's showing up. So if I was that client and I saw those flowers and noticed, I'm just feeling so resentful that he forgot again, then I would say, okay, the main thing here is resentment. Okay. And I put my hands on my heart and I say, part of me that feels resentful, I love you. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for getting my attention through this outer world experience. I'm paying attention to you now. I'm just going to pour some love into you. And this is what I say in my mind. If I'm by myself, I might say it out loud, but usually I just say it in my mind. And maybe you're not at love. Yeah, maybe you're at accept. Like, okay, part of me that feels resentful, I accept that you're here. And I am expanding into being able to love you because I am working on loving all the parts of myself unconditionally, even the parts that don't feel good. What happens then is that part of you, the resentful part, will go, finally, she paid attention to me for the first time ever. Now I can go and dissolve and melt. So you're not loving the resentment to get rid of it. We're never trying to get rid of any part of us. We're loving it because love is the highest behavior. It's the highest vibration, and it will dissolve and melt anything that's unlike itself. And I do this with all the parts that show up. A couple mornings ago, I woke up and I felt, there is the energy of disappointment. Okay, part of me that feels disappointed for no particular reason. I love you. Thank you for being here. Thanks for getting my attention. It's just like a little kid who's trying to get your attention. They'll get bigger and bigger and bigger and create situations and circumstances to try to get your attention. And you don't try to get rid of that 2-year-old, your beloved child in your life. You don't kick them and run away and try to outrun them. No, you turn and embrace them and you love them unconditionally. And they go, okay, good. I can go about my business now and go do whatever it is that they need to do. Like if it's an energy, it's going to dissolve and transmute into an energy that can be of more service because it's no longer stuck in your emotional energy. So loving any part of you that shows up, any trigger, it is only an opportunity for love. That's it. And it's coming up to be healed. All right, so that's the inner world and then the inner outer world bridge. And then in the outer world, like I said, we can teach people how to treat us. And so first you need to get clear for yourself. What would I love? Coming back to that question from earlier. What would I love? What would make me feel loved and adored? So I'm doing it for myself first, giving myself the love and acknowledgement and recognition and adoration. And then in the outer world, like I used to put so much stock in how other people showed up for my birthday and for Christmas and for Mother's Day and whatever else I could be really attached to. And I created this fear in my family. Like they're walking on eggshells all day whenever these days would come around because they were scared that they weren't going to do what would make me feel happy. And I realized, oh, this is not the way that we want to be experiencing these important special days. And so I really worked on decreasing my attachment to outcomes. And then I also started getting really clear, like one Mother's Day, my kids made me beautiful cards and they didn't get me anything. And so I said, you know what? I would love to receive a gift for Mother's Day. They said, what? You do? I said, yes, I love receiving thoughtful gifts. I can even give you a list. So even though Mother's Day has come and gone, here's a list. I would love to receive something from you. And so they got really clear on what my expectation was. And then over time, that even didn't become so important. So I can see my evolution of personal growth through how birthdays used to be and how they are now. I just have zero attachment. And I've also taught people in my family what I would love. So some ideas, you could do a countdown. I've done this. Like I made chain links like 10 days till my birthday, 9 days till my birthday, so that it's in people's awareness and it's a fun and cute way to do it. Or if you have a chalkboard or a calendar or something, you could put a countdown and little kids love it. And then they learn that that day is important to you and they can value and honor it. Or another idea is you can give them a list. And we do this in our family a few weeks before everyone's special day. We'll say, okay, what are your hopes and dreams for this day? What would you love? What would you love to receive? And so as a family unit or in a partnership, you can, bring it to people's awareness that this is what you would love. And then the other thing is you could also make reservations. So like if you wanted to go somewhere special, you could say to your beloved, here's the place I want to go. I would love for you to make a reservation. Thank you so much. And I'm really looking forward to spending this special day with you. So that's another idea. And like I said, you want to teach people how to treat you and just assume that they don't know. Like in my husband's family, they didn't celebrate birthdays very much. It wasn't important to them. In my family, it was a big deal. So you might be in partnership or in a setting with people who it wasn't a thing for them. So you do have to teach them how to treat you. And I remember learning from John Gray, the author of Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus, that women do need to teach men how to show up and how they want them to be in partnership. And men are willing to learn and they might grumble along the way. And ultimately, men really do exist to make women happy, especially their beloved. So you might need to share how exactly you are going to be made happy. And then, of course, you're working on cultivating your happiness on your inside for yourself too. All right, so that is the Q&A for today. I hope that was helpful for you. We have one more segment coming up with a self-care practice from around the world that I'm going to share with you. It's such a powerful one. And then some aligned actions. So we will be right back after this sponsor break. This is the Courageous Self-Care Experience. I'm your host, Christina Marlette, and we'll be right back.
Dr. RC will share extraordinary resources and services that promote educational success, as well as making a difference in the lives of all social workers, as well as the lives of children, adolescents, and teens of today. She will have open discussions addressing many of the issues that we face about our youth and how being employed in the uniquely skilled profession of social work for over 18 years has taught invaluable lessons through her personal experiences. She will also provide real-life facts, examples, and personal stories that will confirm that why serving as a child advocate is extremely beneficial when addressing the needs of the whole child. Listen live to Dare to Soar, Saturdays, 10 a.m. Eastern on the BBM Global Network, and tune in radio as Dr. RC will provide thought-provoking information that will empower, encourage, and strengthen students, families, and communities across our nation. You can also visit her at soarwithkatie.com. Author, radio show host, and coach John M. Hawkins reveals strategies to help gain perspective, build confidence, find clarity, achieve goals. John M. Hawkins' new book, Coached to Greatness, Unlock Your Full Potential with Limitless Growth, published by iUniverse. Hawkins reveals strategies to help readers accomplish more. He believes the book can coach them to greatness. Hawkins says that the best athletes get to the top of their sport with the help of coaches, mentors, and others. He shares guidance that helps readers reflect on what motivates them. We discover and assess their core values, philosophies, and competencies, find settings that allow them to be the most productive, and track their progress towards accomplishing goals. Listen to John Hawkins' My Strategy, Saturdays, 1 p.m. Eastern on the BBM Global Network and TuneIn Radio.
Welcome back to the Courageous Self-Care Experience. I'm your host, Christina Marlette. All right, so we're going to go into our last segment where I share a self-care practice from around the world and then some aligned actions for you to take between now and next week. So this practice is a beautiful practice. I learned it from Angeles Arian, the late anthropologist who traveled to be with indigenous groups all around the world. And she was fascinated to learn that the same thing happened over and over and over. When people in the tribe weren't feeling like themselves, when they were feeling or having an experience of depression or listlessness or lack of motivation, they would go to the healer of the tribe, the shaman, and they would share that. And all over the world, the shaman would ask them 4 questions. These are 4 super powerful questions. And the quality of our questions reflects the quality of our lives. So these are 4 great questions to ask yourself if you're ever feeling that way. So the first question is, when did you stop singing? And we might discount the power of singing, but oh boy, it is the divine coming through. It's using your throat chakra, your throat energy center to be in full self-expression. So regardless of your singing ability, sing. It is a key to staying uplifted and energized and feeling fully alive. The second question was, when did you stop dancing? So I don't know if dance is a regular part of your life, but again, so powerful. It is your body being moved by music and the divine, and it's a celebration. So in my first book called How Ugly Awkward Dancing Changes Everything, there's a quote in there from James Brown, and the quote is, if there are any problems that dancing cannot solve, I don't know what they are. And I wholeheartedly agree. Dance is so powerful. So incorporate some dance into your life on a regular basis. Question number 3 was, when did you stop sharing your story? So we need to be in community. We need to connect. Now, it's not complaining. It's not reiterating the same thing over and over and over ad nauseum. It is just being open and vulnerable and authentic. And then the 4th question was, when did you stop connecting with stillness? So the value of being fully aware of your breath, the value of meditating, the value of doing things that bring stillness on the inside can't be overstated. So sing, dance, connect, be authentic and vulnerable, and also spend time in silence on a regular basis. So I love that. That's wisdom coming from ancient practices around the world. So valuable. All right, and we're going to wrap up with some aligned actions. So the first thing is just to recap. Make sure you're asking yourself, what am I looking forward to help feel energized and alive and live a life that feels exciting to you? Second thing is ask yourself when making decisions, what would I love? Use this question often this week. What would I love? If you notice contraction and a scarcity or lack mindset, shift into, what would I love? And then do your best to follow your guidance, your body sourcing, and the expansion that's coming through you. We have the solar plexus breathing, which is such a powerful practice to feel confident and courageous and soften that busy mind. And then asking yourself, while teaching those around you how to treat you, loving the parts that show up, and developing an inner world that feels good to live in. And then those 4 questions, well, the answers: sing, dance, share openly and authentically, and connect with silence. And then, as always, I have a great resource on my website for you. The website is ChristinaMarlette.com, and the resource is the daily self-care checklist. It's not just a checklist, it's a teaching. So you can go there and get that as a free resource. And I invite you to check out my latest book, Not Your Mama's Self-Care Guide. It is well, she had none. So she probably had none. You should read this. And it's a funny and practical look at incorporating strategic self-care into your life. All right, that is it for today. Thank you so much. I truly believe that when we fill ourselves up first, we can give from the overflow, and we can do it in ways that don't take a ton of time. They weave into our regular everyday life. So that's what I love sharing. What the practices that work, that help you live a life that feels totally worth living, where you feel alive and vibrant and energized. So thank you so much for being here. I will be here again next week. I hope you can tune in live or listen to the recording. I'm your host, Christina Marlette. This has been the Courageous Self-Care Experience on Bold Brave TV, and I hope you have a beautiful week. Bye for now.
This has been the Courageous Self-Care Experience with host Christina Marlette. Tune in each week as Christina will offer up live laser coaching where her compassionate reframes help you see the bigger picture, shift your perspective, and return to inner peace, no matter what's going on. You'll leave with a week aligned action to get your energy flowing and your life glowing. Thursdays, 12 noon Eastern on the Bold Brave TV network, powered by B2 Studios.